guys, back to another video, another live stream of me playing some D2R. So I hope you're all doing good today at TGIF. Welcome, welcome.
Let's jump this portion of the story from Wire. Metadata shows the FBI's raw jet reacting prison video was likely modified. There's no evidence the footage was deceptively manipulated, but ambiguities around how the video was processed may further fuel conspiracy theories about Epstein's death. Now, what they basically say is they don't say there's evidence that they made fake footage, but at the bare minimum they say it was modified, likely using Adobe Premiere Pro. It appears to have been assembled from at least 2 different source clips, saved multiple times, exported and re-uploaded via his website, where it was presented as raw footage. It was not. So when that minute is missing, that probably was a mistake of a crappy editor. So imagine Dan Bongino seeing this video come out and going, what did you do? I went on TV and said we had this, and you put that out. So I think this plays a huge role in why he's pissed. But then the question becomes, the video is not raw, it is edited. Who did it and why? And what's the real story? And is it possible that Dan Bongino's frustration is directly quiz? It could be. He's a man of profound integrity, which I think is. I trust him. And so he's seeing all of these failures and being like, I can't be part of everything he's doing. However, those who do not trust him, it could be you launched our cover-up and screwed up on fire.
I agree. I think also he had probably not seen the footage and gone a lot of mouth when he went on television and said, the guy did a mess up. We have footage of Epstein killing him, which is why he sounded uncharacteristically uncertain and uncomfortable when being pressed on by the press. He was engaging in his cover-up and saying, I'm going to put my reputation, I'm going to trust something that I've been told. When it comes out, he's like, now I look like a fool.
Could you imagine if he quits, comes back to his show and says, guys, never proved to me that they told me he did, they said, trust us, we'll get the footage out, just trust us. And that's why he went on TV and said, he allowed to do that.
Like, is there an FDA disclosure if he leaves? Is he legally prohibited from disclosing that type of thing?
Probably.
You also have the weird Andrew Bear asking that's a man cash. Like, what's the ass rate? Yes, thumbs up. So, please don't kill me. Yeah, look at that. That's weird. Right? Like, making us so bad. Yeah. Yeah, I like the person in America movie. I hate this. Yeah, good. It's actor was good. I figured out, not figured out, I think it's pretty important that all your governments will have unbelievably safe. The example of that is
Hey, babe, there you go.
They published accusations
Welcome back.
of sexual slaves having James Reynolds and his wife, Michael Hamilton. Ray Reynolds had an affair with Hamilton in 1991. James Reynolds discovered and extorted money from him with the affair secret.
Centralized bond, centralized currencies.
There is a much older and bigger conspiracy that the U.S. never broke away from. That when Ian's not here, but the conspiracy theory is that basically when the British were at war and they're fighting for colonies, they reassessed the fighting, and Parliament became they're basically like, wait, hold on, they're trying to
Delicious.
well, they want to have a government.
'Twas
where
delicious.
it's like,
Had
why
myself
are
a
you
couple
fighting?
vegetarian quesadillas
So then,
and some broccoli cheese casserole and a bunch of watermelon. What'd you have for din din?
As long as you're cool with one of our founding fathers, we were good. But Lord Fairfax was the only member of British peers who actually kept his titles after the war because he was vice and promotion. There was a way out of it. That's the cool George. I think said conspiracy may have run into the war in 1945. I think the deal was rescinded back then. We've had multiple examples of MPs in the former government sending sexual blackmail on the phone witness office, basically saying,
Plain rice again. You need to get yourself some more nutrients than that, babe.
Virtually every person of European descent is likely descended from Charlotte.
Yeah. He was a player. He was spoken Riz.
Virginia Dupre, so, committed suicide just a few weeks ago. She was going to be released.
You have fruit galore during the day. That certainly helps.
And then she was run off the road by a bus or something.
And the bus driver denied it.
Yeah, and then she
Posts this. Well, she posts this thing where she's all battered, saying, "I just need a few days to see my kids." Like, who are you telling that to?
And then she died. I mean, there is something, I think, going on there. I don't know what.
Same with Robert Maxwell, right? To the full on with his boat. I mean, you still have to do more on that. Like, I know your chances are light up right now, but this all stinks. This is all totally deluded, radioactive. You've been sloppy with the assassination since the comments, allegedly. Because, like, I mean, there was the one where the lady accused of fucking she was working at Starbucks, and someone came in, like Georgetown, just shot her point blank range, and didn't came in, and everyone was like, no, it was a mistake. Hold on. It's like, it's sloppy. What's going on?
Wow, when was that story?
It was the accuser of Georgetown shooting.
Cannot be assessed eating. Right, it is this hot.
There was that journalist who was investigating the CIA who committed suicide by shooting himself.
Can't be.
Yeah. So, he just went
I
to
feel you.
and stabbed himself in the back 25 times. Classic suicide, yeah.
The dude who shot himself, I always forget his name. They argue, well, he shot himself and it wasn't a lethal shot. So then he shot himself again to die. And most people hear that you shot yourself twice and then they don't believe that, but the disgusting, tragic reality is people often miss.
Yeah, but you gotta show me the diagram. It's in the back of his head.
I think one of them was, actually.
Huh. You have a tape over
Yeah,
it.
that's crazy.
Yeah. He actually managed to put cement around his feet in a bucket and then hop all the way down to the office.
I'm listening to Tim Pool, Timcast IRL.
You know they say that wealth lasts 3 generations? So does the liberal economic order. So does governmental power. So the idea goes, some young kid is born on a farm.
What the fuck are you listening to?
You know, I could do this better if I just had this tool.
They actually have Dr. Drew on right now.
Making a bunch of these crazy tools, built a company, all of a sudden he owns a widget factory and he's super rich. Has a kid. That kid is born to wealth. And he says, here's how you run the widget factory. And we have a bunch of widget factories. That kid grows up super rich, helps run the company. His kid has a kid. That kid grows up wealthy, and it's a copy of the company. The third generation doesn't know the hard work it took and the ingenuity to revolutionize the system. Didn't have the experience in the field to figure out how to innovate it, and so the wealth falls off. Or it becomes institutionalized, and this is...
Why do you say that?
How to run anything. I think the same thing is true with the liberal economic order. After World War II, you got some gritty...
I think they got some interesting takes.
The craziest stuff, literally nuking the country, and they're like, here's what we're going to do. We're going to control the world, finance and trade. Here's how we're going to do it. And then second generation...
I gotta be at least a little politically aware, you know? Don't need to be like a pundit or anything, but I gotta know what's going on.
Do a simple cover-up. Guys, tell me, bro. What are you doing?
This is corruption 101. What are we doing?
Yeah, what you do is, after you process the footage on Premiere, you just load the footage back into the surveillance footage to turn it into a raw file, and then publish it. Come on, that's cover-up 101. What's going on, Iron?
It's rookie stuff. What are we doing? Come on, let's get together.
Very well.
I would not get along with
with.
Yeah. I think a lot of people would say the same. Personally, I think I'd get along with him, but he isn't. So the word pugnacious that I was using to play around with you earlier, you know, would definitely define him. He's very pugnacious. He likes to argue for the sake of arguing.
What happened to that? Well, he was driving down the street when someone threw a match, which caused a dog to bark, scaring a guy in a fight.
But sometimes it's necessary, to be real. Get people to pay attention.
That just happens all the time. Yeah, I don't know, man. I know what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. Because we're not getting it. And the story now is not even
Exactly right.
But it's the story's not empty. The story's not that much.
I was just looking at the age of all the I mean, he was revealed that this kind of stuff. He's never really made something that he always thinks about too much about how does this all consist? Why are there more people coming forward helping us understand our government?
No, he's actually a Pisces,
I think there's a strong probability.
so he should get along with you perfectly, but, you know, astrology doesn't really mean anything, so. Like you, I just follow it for fun.
So that's probably a distinct possibility. But it really is so hard to believe that they keep botching it this poorly when it's a rather simple endeavor. So I'm like, when I think about everything's dropped and the stories, I'm just thinking, what is their intended goal with this? It's not hard.
OMG.
They could have just been like, here's 3 sentences Dan for you to say on TV, and then that's it. We're gonna talk about it.
Well, I don't know if it was a figure of speech or what, but Hannah Bondi, when she went on Jesse Waters, and I think it was that one, where she said at first that they had given her just a very teeny tiny little file, and then she says, and this is her word, that there were truckloads of information at SDNY, Southern District, New York, truckloads of information
Okay.
So I think everything needs to happen in its time.
What if they bring in magnetism?
And you saw Richard this too.
No,
Oh, he said,
yeah, that is it.
yeah, I've seen the file. It's real. There's a lot of stuff there. I can't tell you.
And he said, I know who's on it, but it's confidential, I can't say, and they should release it.
But there was sort of a sense of urgency that there's a lot of stuff.
I think Dershowitz wants it released because he's accused, and there's evidence tying him to Epstein stuff, and he's like, release it, shoot it or not, come on. Yeah, or at the bare minimum, he's saying this knowing it won't get released, and he wants to be concealed. What do you do?
It turns the criminal corruption all over the class into like these managed decline. The more you hear about the mismanagement of the scandal, that's how the actual scandal itself to accept the fact that everyone who is ruling us being completely depraved is a feature of it. And so it just allows the system to come to
Let's roll tape. We got the story from the New York Times. The FBI is using polygraphs to test officials' loyalty. Some senior officials who have taken the test have been asked whether they said anything negative about FBI Director Cash Patel. We're in some kind of cold school or whatever you want to call it. And there exists currently two distinct factions fighting for control of our government. I don't know how else to put it. Whatever's going with Air Bombing, Dan Bongino, and the Epstein stuff, to the fact that it's not just the FBI, but I asked Secretary Collins and the DHS, they're doing the same thing. They are trying to weed out individuals they feel are betraying this country or working against it. When you have numerous stories that our federal agencies are using polygraphs for loyalty tests, okay, that shows there's distinct separations of loyalties. So these people, I mean, what Cash has said about being a perpetrator of one conspiracy against this country. So that the argument is there is a large amount of people in the government, top to bottom, who are disloyal to the democratic process that we had under Trump. And we have to beat them out. So there is some kind of moral and administrative support.
I wish our cameras actually did it justice. Don't you? When it's big and beautiful like that, it'd be nice if our cameras did it justice.
Good riddance.
And they pulled him aside and they said, we run this government. This government's been here for 4 years. We are in charge. We determine what goes on here. That is disgusting to me. That they're not serving the will of the people. That is anathema to the basic principles here. Then I talked to another guy flying from DC a couple months ago. He'd been in the DOJ for he said, oh, it's happening that too. And we would just hire our own people alongside of the bureaucracy that was there. And HHS came to because it's been so complicated research organization. But this has been happening for a long time. Look, the Jacobins thought that they were sort of developing freedom and shaking
wasn't so tired these days. What from? Is it still from your time or something else?
You've still got thousands of state bureaucrats that you want to put up here. They cannot be on the never made any mess in their lives. They live and breathe this ideology. Is it going to quietly into this good night? No, they're going to form some sort of like parallel system that's going to constantly try and a well-funded parallel system that's going to constantly try and undermine his election mandate every time. And so there's two things I can say. First of all, I don't know how effective polygraphs will be because pretty much all of our opponents are total psychos, and so they're not really available in this sort of thing. Second of all, did you see the photos that came out today of the state? They've sacked a lot of people. Honestly, so if you're still left behind, remember your mission is to fight fascism. Again, certainly people know it's to create an ideological government against people. Those are differences between cultures. Where can I find it? I'll send it to search.
Think about the polygraphs, though. Like the worst survivors are actually probably the ones that we have done. The polygraphs are not even admissible in court, are they?
I'm just thinking your asylum is granted with I think asylum may well be necessary eventually. So, the only key to my country's ally is actually inherent safety. It's the really effective laws that speak freely in the first place. It's weird with customs in our population. By the way, locking people up and praying outside of bullshit things. Meanwhile, we're just like jihadists roaming free in the streets. And the only thing that's stopping the government from going full force on that is the state department.
Heat, mental anguish, maybe medication withdrawal too. Oh, I'm incredibly busy. 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily these days. Yes, time.
Over and over again, she feels fine.
Sheesh, everything piling on top of itself. Don't burn the candle at both ends, sweetheart. Face yourself.
This is fascism. Remember the oath you swore to uphold. We have a death cult in our government. And they are actively trying to subvert the will of the American vote. I mean, Joe Biden won, and Republicans grumbled and got mad, and claimed, many of them claimed that it was stolen. Then, during Biden's administration, they sought to imprison Trump, his lawyers. The White House never responded in kind to that force used by the left. Not on the streets, not in government, not even in manpower. And that's terrifying prospect.
It's really terrifying, and Trump's a danger.
Look at that.
And honestly, I have to say that obviously this is not, I understand the idea of that. I secretly think it should be.
best. I understand, Sonya. I'm here for you.
Let's just do this. Let's take a run.
Just make sure you're getting yourself plenty of sleep when you can.
There is a majority that we reasonably discern the earth is round. The average person who does assumes it to be true based on the majority of society. They tend to be rational. And you can talk to right over and say, you know, fair point, I never checked, but
also concerned, right? That's why they limited it originally to landowners, and then when they came up with the idea of public education, they were really concerned with who should be a participant in the democratic process. We decided, no, we want to have Michael Jackson as much focus as possible was the answer, and I think there's value that. But education, you know, is a critical ingredient that if you're not going to have an educated public, well, it's horrific. Although you have an educated public, it's not going so well over there either. I'm not sure that's the entire answer. No, we don't. Well, you want to replace the public with a completely digital population around the world who also have intelligent.
Yeah. Well, why don't you try to take a friend with you? Or maybe a couple. Preferably a male friend that can protect you. Alright? And that way you'll be able to continue going, despite the doofuses out there.
But Connor, I know you're having problems in London, but have you ever just considered the upside that you've got curry and falafel?
Yeah, it turns out that actually the biggest curry producer in the UK is Wetherspoon Towers. So I don't think the British are in a deep and yawning desire for authentic Indian street food meats. I think that we have a recipe, and we don't need to import a million Indians in 4 years, which I don't know. Very expensive.
Don't have any male friend?
I would rather have civilization.
What about family members?
But I'm saying going to a civilized restaurant, sit down.
Take your brothers with you.
You know, though, you are raising an interesting point about the religion issue and the culture issue. Because as you said as well, Drew, like with the founding fathers and when they were thinking about what we vote on, and one of the things that they were very clear about is that we would only survive as a republic with freedom if we actually had a religion, right? Like they actually, yeah,
What did this bring from the right buyer?
I wish I did. I've been reading a lot of so I think it's almost like a taboo to discuss, but the Christian religion does, for example, when it comes to the concept of justice.
You'd have to defend them? What? Didn't you tell me your younger brother was a tank of a man?
That when you look at justice, when you look at court systems, according to a Judeo-Christian system,
You're saying you'd have to defend the druggies. Because if that be the case, then so be it. They shouldn't be druggies. They're both pacifists. Oh. Well, I mean, if they're being attacked, then they could, then they'd defend themselves, wouldn't they?
Let's jump to the story of the Telegram. Trump to be denied address to Parliament on state visitors president not giving the honor to Rebecca Obama or Trump on the draft on their states. I think the U.S. should
There's the new council.
Actually, no, you don't have to see.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
I'm not joking.
You would be able to do nothing if we didn't.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I mean, all army is.
They're ruining your ability to enjoy the lake because they want to do their drugs and put you in a dangerous situation. That's not acceptable.
So we have to lost labor landslide majority with 4 votes. The majority lost by 2019. They are the most unpopular government on record. Brand new government. We'll talk about the space program. The reason for doing this, by the way, is
guaranteed go day.
So I let hemorrhaging goes to the left. As far as the right in Britain, as far as it exists, last resort of government just delivered net 1 billion corporation. You guys have good stuff, good stuff. So we're at the same level of integration. You guys did resort of government. They were told they want properties, and they considered appointed Ken Baker to the party while General Brooke Henry resigned. Previous government over their immigration is well, she was born from Nigerian parents using health tourism, which is actually good citizenship, lived in Nigeria and America, identifies as a first generation immigrant, basically popped up by the party the entire year, never in speech, she went to a Luther Council student. She also played a British
I need a key.
Then you went before the top of the polls, that's Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage, about 2 years ago, released this thing. I was in the left with Nigel Farage. Yeah, I know. Most Americans don't know this. Nigel Farage has been also betraying his base. Time betrayal. He has said mass deportations are a possibility we're not going to do. We're going to have one. He turned around and said there are clips of this we had to get. We had Winston Marshall a few weeks ago. On Winston Marshall's podcast, he said, if politically we alienate Islam, by 2050 we will lose. So,
My first job was as a J.C. Penney associate back in 2008. I only had the job for like a month because I ended up going starting second semester college pretty quickly. What about you? When was your first job? What was your first job? Can you see my resume? Are you gonna hire me for something? What's this? Catalog delivery girl. Okay. Good deal. Definitely a good first job. If you really want to see my resume, I mean, I can send it to you, sure. But that's kind of a silly thing to do. Oh, dang it. I meant to keep that one.
I don't know, but Donald Trump, he said, the boys are coming in and people get pissed.
Yeah.
He just raided a bunch of pot farms, and the left is coming up. I love this. They just raided marijuana farms and found child slavery. And the left said they're kidnapping children from produce farms. It's like,
Wow. So how would we possibly drug ourselves to accept living with children on Palestine?
I don't know. I think we should occupy California. I think Trump federal government should go and just put a rigid federal authority over. I mean, listen, this is not unconstitutional. Trump will revoke the Insurrection Act. They'll go to California and say the laws are to be followed. There are children slaves on these farms. Just with that information alone, Trump can say, he can go light. He can say, Gavin Newsom, I am telling you right now, you will not give me a report. You don't have to report to me, but I'm saying the federal government is not getting an assessment of the law enforcement against child slave labor on the farms in your state. The feds, we will invoke the Insurrection Act, and we will bring militarized control over your state levels.
You'll be very interested in this. The last 3 or so months at least, the main topic is dominated in UK discourse. Get ready to drink chat, civil war. Now, we don't talk about this in our country. It's not a thing that we've really spoken about since the 17th century. The Brits are quite shy and polite and reserved. And now we've got the government advisor Dominic Cummings, who would be a fantastic guest on Culture, by the way, coming forward and saying, you know, I'm doing right briefings in 2020. We cannot underestimate the level of delusion that these politicians have, and their urge to project to the public by being able to still pretend they're in control. All they seem to be doing is clamping down, noticing the problem, rather than stopping the immigration policies that led to this problem. And there's an academic called David Betts who works at King's College London, and he's studied all of
I'm secretly being interviewed for a job. Who would have thought?
Well, in the next 3 to 5 years, by all available metrics, you've got divisive identity politics, you've got the state cracking down on the native population saying that they are downgrading the status, so they put emphasis on social media, they're still reporting jihadists, and it's likely they're going to get vigilante attacks on infrastructure. So within the next 5 years, you're probably going to have a civil war kick off and get almost 20,000 cars a year, and people are going,
Alright.
why are you saying this now? Why are you telling the government? I'm telling the government it's getting worse. The reason I don't think this is possibly. Okay, so there might be 2 groups. There might be one group who wants a one group who doesn't. I genuinely think we are run by, yes, demented ideological socialists, but also total crippling Midwest. There's an interview with Keir Starmer where he says, I don't think the book I don't dream. I don't think he loves it. He says he doesn't dream. It's in the Guardian. Genuinely. There's look up Keir Starmer doesn't dream. And it's he's also denounced a speech that he gave for
Okay, sure. Let's see what I got. Give me a second.
He said, oh, I didn't agree with it. It's like, what burden?
I haven't used or opened these up in quite some time. They haven't been updated. So let's see.
Should we have like you got if you want to be president?
Where did I
you do
put
that thing
those?
Where they ask you to look on the chart of what an apple looks like in your mind. And they've got if you select anything below like at least 5 or 4, it's just like I'm sorry.
I mean, it's like the Civil War talk. It's not surprising because it's like if you have an entire, Coleman, so the Englishman is actually making costumes for the American. It's like if you have a huge contingent of population very angry because they don't have a population that represents them, or sorry, part that represents them. What do you think is going to happen?
No, this one. Just you bring them in and say congratulations, you won flowers or run for office. Tell me, when you visualize an apple, which number do you see? And Keir Starmer will smile. It's like, okay, well, you are ineligible. Now, we can be nice and say 1 through 4 is okay.
I don't remember where I put it.
I suppose people get upset because they're like, what's it called? It's aphantasia, is that what it is? When you can't visualize something in your mind. Well, he literally wrote the textbook on how to apply human rights law.
I'm telling you, it's been so long since I've given it to anybody. I don't even remember where it is. I kind of gave up on the pursuit.
So we talk about mass formation psychosis. I'm somewhat being facetious, but sometimes I look at the zombification of people, like we were talking with Amy
I'll find it. It's just gonna take me a sec.
Like, are these zombies? Like, are these people conscious, reasoning individuals?
There was a book written by Latsky's Lead Exorcist where he says that people are demonic possession are in a state of faithlessness and place. And so the civilization that is godless, addicted to drugs, constantly
Hey.
sloth on television, has nothing to do with what ideological politics. Well, you might be experienced with the average NPC continues to protest. You said television like this. Well, yeah, this is quite black but the only so I am very tech skeptic. The only beneficial thing about this though is that this is what's turning a hell of a lot of young men right now, especially video games, because you cannot deny that they themselves with us to be a scene. This is where I'm obsessed with the Douglas Murray's called secondary concerns. We're obsessed with controlling speech online about the thing rather than addressing the actual thing itself. So there's a new independent commission on community television. It's meant to be like that. An independent group is a statement, right? Okay. They've got there and they're meant to be investigating the causes of civil conflict, riots, and homicide outrage. And what's their frequent conclusion? Well, it's not just on the federal online speech message.
Second, what do you call it? Second order
Effects.
Look, that makes sense from the analogy that I use. I say that we are chickens in a chicken coop, and it's meant to be somewhat silly, but the general idea is, I got a chicken coop. I don't care what they do every day, as long as they make eggs. If at any point there is some kind of tumult, I'm going to say, stop the tumult. I want the eggs. I don't care why they're fighting. I want them to stop fighting. So in this regard, they're saying, I don't care.
There you go.
what the problems are.
I
want
found
them to
one of them. It's not the most.
So.
It's not the one that I used to get my last job, but it's one of them.
Many slaves, I would free many more if only they knew they were slaves. It's an interesting quote, but when you expand what it means psychologically, it's that if people can't conceptualize of something, it doesn't exist to them. Perception is reality. So if they're saying, look, we're going to put two young men that
Took
are
me a
seeing
second
this
there.
problem, is there a way by which we can reduce their ability to communicate with each other so they can't get on the restaurant? Then the problem is solved. Care when they're mad. Just, you know what we do? The chicken is a really great psychology. The chickens fight. And it causes them stress, and they're stressed, and they're late. So you know what we do? We put blinders on their faces. And then they walk around, and they can't see anything. They're going to look like this half the time. that these things actually exist. And I try to rationally explain how it is. The first time I experienced the mass formation psychosis, I had worked at once, made a bunch of friends, went around traveling the world covering the news. We would then come back and produce video and publish it. A couple of years after that, probably about 2 years after this, I said, I am going to go to Sweden. And I got messages from people from Vice saying, don't do it. People I've done reports and people from it. And I was like, why not? I'm doing literally what I've always done. And they said, because Trump is wrong, so don't go. And I said, I agree Trump is wrong, and I'm going to go prove it wrong. And they said, no, it's not wrong. Because you're going to prove it wrong. And I was like, dude, I was like, you and I used to go to some of these things and do the exact same thing. They were like, yeah, Trump is bad, he's white supremacist, okay. I got like 4 or 5 messages from nice recruits saying, do not go. Give the money to a Muslim refugee camp. So this is a couple people.
Overburdened.
Then they started calling me white supremacist. And I'm like, how did in 2 years, people that had an entire world view, nearly had open up, turn into whatever this zombie is? And within 2 years,
Why'd you retract the last message?
blew my mind.
Judgmental
less as opposed to like older folks because we do feel like we inherited less of them. I speak to the people who I was there on those issues. So, and not only that, we inherited a mess. And we were busy looking at things that we just love to know. And actually have a lot to offer. We just didn't know it. Like we were busy dancing.
It does feel from my perspective that, yeah, like maybe the older generations get the neutralize system was actually didn't really well I think that was like a year. I think recently they announced they're turning it back on. Because what happens is, if you look at OnlyFans, the intention of OnlyFans was supposed to be a website where creators, podcasters, musicians could make bonus content for fans. Gore took over, and the CEO tried shutting it down. And then the company started spiraling and going under. So the investors are like, yo, hey, we'd rather be rich, so turn back on. My understanding, I could be wrong, is that this AI program is turning sex back on. These people are not doing this. These are guys, and it's really simple. 26-year-old guy, and he says, I will take fake love and lust over nothing. And so they'll take it. So they're going to have local girlfriends, and they're going to feel somewhat bad probably, but they'll feel better than the men. And they're going to be like, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to have gigantic, tall, dark, and handsome, level dudes.
It's not even a rational choice as well. It's just hacking the biology. It's saying, right, I will hey, hold on. She's talking to me and showing interest. And therefore, I will emotionally invest in this. Even though I delude myself thinking it's not so real. I don't want that. It's not as simple as they use it, they shut it, it becomes not only an obsession, and then it's like, it's not self-control. But there are guys that use it to self-talk their anxiety, which is self-talk about the situation.
Well, I'll admit, I am not what Clubhouse, like, I would chats with ChatGPT. How everything is
Ouija board.
awesome. The voice feature is pretty powerful, so maybe
And you can already, so a couple years ago, we were raising those people, they modded Skyrim for the female companion to talk to you in any way you want. You can literally say, where are you from? How old are you? Where do you want to go?
I need a key.
And it will respond with
It's locked.
procedurally generated, like, anything. I think, my prediction is that right now, someone I'm serious. You want to be a billionaire? Anybody want to be a billionaire? Okay, or anybody would just like that. And you're going to play it with something that GPT API, like, and that way they talk to you. You will say, you create the character profile, and then you will have a customized character to your third party. And it's always on. So when you're working, and you have, let's say you're working on Skyrim or Fallout, and Fallout you can rent electricals. You'd be in the world where you're not ready to go. Sarah, can you harvest the watermelon? Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna be back there. Yeah. Well, we're playing the watermelon, and we'll just do watermelon. Oh, sorry, that's my video game girlfriend. She's harvesting my watermelon. It's up in the merchant. I have to go find a dragon lair, so I figure I just call it. That it would be like right now. And people will have digital girlfriends that they spend time with. And they say, hey, I'll be back for work at 5 p.m. Do you want to get my sword ready? Do I go fight the dragon? Yeah, I'll hold on phones at the front of the door. I'll get there. When the game on, and she's starting to watch it.
I'll say making money off the table, making money off of desperation.
the scene he's in is the only time they actually say anything political, but it's neutral political, and it is fun. I think everybody.
What?
It's not targeting any.
I don't even think
I guessed. And the movie was, I give it a D plus C minus. I won't watch it again, but I was not walking. Like Star Wars: The Last Jedi, that was on the walk out of the theater. But the only reason I did this was I was like, I need to see the movie to have it done. But there was another movie that I would walk out. I almost walked out so much. When the interdimensional monkeys were sending tweets, not kidding, no joke. And I was spoiled that year. I was like, what? Almost right after the music treatment comes in, and I'm like, I gotta watch the music treatment. And then it completely freaking insane. And I was like, okay, you brought me back. Alright. I'm people who earn their power. I don't. I think his character is good, but that's why Iron Man, Batman, Doctor Strange, he studies, learns, and use magic. Mr. Terrific invents things just like Batman and Iron Man does. I love characters that they show that humans can have this tremendous power through hard work. And that's why Lex Luthor's a great character as well, but he's evil about it. Anyway, let's grab some more super chats. We've got a few minutes. Taylor Lorenz's X says, Dr. Drew, you live... Oh, I'm not reading that.
You live is an old reading from Love Life, the latter days of the show.
And then there's a statement that's inappropriate, which I won't read. Love OG Love Line. I took one J&J COVID jab. How's it that one?
That one doesn't seem to belong to the problem. I took that one too.
But the statement after you live was, you might know what it is. It's probably a joke from the men, but it's worthless. I'm not going to read it.
It's the Mike Cassidy there. It's accurate.
Walter says, there are victims, even under oath, accusing people who are making laws that govern you to vote on and enforce the laws that are governing you. That is why it's important. Alright, what we got here? Tech Paul says, according to Bondi, the number of victims increased from 200,000 to the number of perpetrators was brought to 1. With all that power, why is she still? According to the memo that was released, Maxwell was still trafficking 2,000. So they're storing out that Maxwell was supplying girls to
And my agent dropped me because of this book, and then the publisher didn't want to do this book. They asked me if I would do some other book, any book, but I said that I really want to do this book. So please help support me. I'm the owner of freespeechtoday.com. It's my most publishing expert.
For the TV shows, Hollywood Demons, check that out. That's streaming on Max. Also, show it's up to my thing. And Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 2 o'clock Pacific time, we do a show on Rumble, Ask Dr. Three Times 1 2.
You call me X at Real Estate Brown, and Secret Real Estate Brown. I have thousands of followers on X. I watch shares and stories. Maybe we should just do a show where we can be really drunk, and then you tell the story and we just blast out.
Just a quick language.
Yeah, exactly. All right, everybody, we're back, of course, on Monday. Cooks up the weekend. Thanks for hanging out. See you next time.
Alright, I'm gonna finish this act and then we'll switch it to the marathon. Ugh.